Welcome to the deep dive. Thinking about selling your business, it might be way, way down on your list. Maybe not even on the list at all for many people.
Right. It feels like something for the distant future, if ever.
Exactly. But what if the decision isn't completely up to you? We're looking at an article today by Daryl Amy, Why You Must Always Be Ready to Sell Your Business, Even If You Never Plan to. And it kind of throws a curveball.
It really does. The statistic it opens with is pretty stark.
Yeah, this really jumped out at me. Over half, more than 50% of business sales, they're not these carefully planned strategic moves.
No, they're triggered by life events. The article calls them the 4Ds, death, disability, divorce, or disagreements.
The 4 Ds.
Eh.
Unexpected things that suddenly
Yeah.
force your hand, right? So the mission for this deep dive really is to explore why this idea of being ready to sell.
Mm.
Well, it isn't just for owners thinking about retirement.
It's more fundamental.
It's really a core strategy for building a stronger business,
Mm-hmm.
a more resilient one, where you're actually in control, whatever life decides to throw at you.
It's about building optionality, fundamentally.
So we'll dig into what happens when you're caught unprepared. The huge advantages of running your business, like you could sell anytime. And then there's a practical framework to actually get there.
Yeah, a concrete path forward.
So whether you're listening because you're planning ahead, or maybe dealing with business challenges right now, or maybe you're just curious, this is definitely for you.
And that vulnerability you mentioned with the 50% stat,
Mm.
it's fascinating. We sort of imagine owners calling the shots on a sale, but often it's circumstance dictating things.
Yeah.
And when a sale is forced like that, the fallout goes way beyond just the price tag,
How so?
Well, think about the stress, the emotional side for the owner, the family. Then there's the disruption for employees. And just the sheer rush of it all often scares off good buyers. Due diligence gets messy.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that a bit. The article really hammers home the danger of being unprepared when, one of those Ds hits and you have to sell. It talks about the valuation just plummeting. Why? Why is being unprepared so bad for the price?
Well, it boils down to risk. From a buyer's perspective, an unprepared business screams risk. Maybe there are no documented processes.
Right, it's all in the owner's head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which suggests success is totally dependent on that one person. Or maybe there's no real leadership team beyond the owner. Again, who takes over? What's the continuity plan?
Okay.
And if there's no clear growth strategy laid out, well, buyers are going to question the future potential, aren't they?
Sure. Makes
It's all that uncertainty. It translates directly into lower offers. Buyers have to price in the cost, the time, the sheer effort of fixing all those gaps after they buy it.
Right.
Plus, a rush sale often means the seller doesn't have time to properly check out the buyers either. That increases the risk of just getting a bad deal or problems down the line.
That makes total sense. It's like trying to sell a house quickly, but you've got no maintenance records, maybe a leaky roof. Buyers are going to lowball you to cover those unknowns.
Precisely.
And the article also mentions the loss of negotiation leverage. In a fire sale, you're not holding many cards, are you?
None at all, really. When an unexpected event forces your hand, the urgency is entirely on you, the seller.
Yeah.
You might be facing intense personal pressure, maybe financial, maybe health-related, that just demands a quick exit.
Right. Need the cash, need it now.
Exactly. And buyers know this. They can sense the urgency. So they're likely to come in with lower offers, knowing you probably don't have the luxury of waiting or shopping around or negotiating hard on terms.
So it becomes less about getting the value you've built and more about just taking what's offered.
That's often the reality, unfortunately, except what's on the table.
And it's not just the money, is it? The article also touches on the human cost, the chaos, the instability for families, for the employees.
Yeah.
That sounds like a heavy weight to carry.
It truly is. Imagine being an employee in that situation. No clear succession plan, the business suddenly up for sale. There's immense anxiety.
Job security worries.
Job security, company culture changes. Who's going to be in charge?
Yeah.
All of that uncertainty, it kills morale. You might even lose your best people right when you need them most during that tricky transition.
Yeah, terrible timing.
And for the owner's family, a poorly managed forced sale, especially if it follows, say, death or disability, it can create huge financial strain, massive emotional distress during an already incredibly difficult time.
Then there's the legacy piece.
Yeah.
For so many owners, the business is more than just an asset.
Oh, yeah.
It's their life's work, their values embodied. The idea of that being diminished in a chaotic, rushed sale, that must sting.
Absolutely. Legacy is about reputation, community impact, the values the business stood for. An unprepared, messy sale, particularly one triggered by something negative, can really tarnish all that. Whereas a stable, well-prepared business, even if it has to be sold unexpectedly, it's much more likely to keep its identity, keep making a positive impact under new owners. Buyers are often drawn to that strong reputation, that clear history of success. Those are hallmarks of readiness.
Okay, so the downsides of being caught off guard are really significant.
Yeah.
Financially, emotionally, for everyone involved. Let's pivot then. What about the upside? What are the actual tangible advantages of running your business as if it were always ready to sell, even if selling isn't on your radar at all?
Well, the interesting thing is, operating with that always ready mindset just naturally leads to better business practices. Full stop.
How so?
As the article lays out, you end up with really clear financials, meticulously documented operations, not just stuff the owner knows how to do.
Right. Repeatable processes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a capable leadership team that's empowered to handle the day-to-day. Now, all that obviously makes the business way more attractive to buyers if the unexpected does happen.
Yeah.
But crucially, it also massively improves your current performance. Your efficiency goes up, things run smoother.
Okay.
And then add in a strong company culture, clear communication, shared values that leads to a more engaged, more productive team. And of course, a constant focus on effective revenue generation keeps the business healthy and profitable day to day.
So it sounds like aiming for sale readiness isn't really about the sale itself. It's more about just building a fundamentally better, more robust business overall.
Precisely. That's the core idea. Yes, readiness makes you more appealing to buyers because it reduces their perceived risk. But the main benefit, it's strengthening the business for you right now.
Right.
It gives you, the owner, much greater control, more security. If something unforeseen does occur, you're suddenly in a much stronger position. You can negotiate properly. You might even decide, you know what, none of these offers reflect the true value we've built. Let's ride this out.
You have options.
You have options. That's the key. Optionality you just wouldn't have otherwise.
Okay, this makes a lot of sense. The article then introduces a pretty practical framework to actually achieve this readiness. Measure. Accelerate AX. Let's break that down, starting with measure. What's the core idea there?
Measure is all about really understanding where you stand right now, knowing your business's current worth. There's that great Peter Drucker quote, right? What gets measured gets managed.
Classic. Still true.
Absolutely. So this means getting a grip on your EBITDA, that's your earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's a key indicator of profitability fundamental to valuation.
Gives you that operational performance snapshot.
Exactly. And then you need to compare yourself. Benchmark your valuation multiples against others in your specific industry. Where do you actually fit in the market?
Okay.
This measurement gives you a baseline, a clear picture of current value. And importantly, it highlights the areas where making improvements could really move the needle on that value. The article even provides a link, I think, to a confidential valuation tool to get started.
Right, measure.valuecreationengines.com. Yeah, a good tangible first step. Okay, so you can't improve what you don't understand. You measure first. Then the next phase is accelerate. And this involves focusing on what the article calls the 4 value creation engines. Can you walk us through those engines? What are they and why are they so critical?
Sure. These 4 engines are basically the core drivers that significantly boost a business's value and, frankly, its overall health and attractiveness. First up is revenue growth.
Okay, the top line.
Yep. Consistently expanding sales, growing market share. Buyers love seeing a proven track record of growth and, crucially, a clear plan for future growth.
Makes sense. What's number 2?
Second is process optimization. This is about creating efficient, documented, repeatable systems for everything important in the business.
Getting it out of the owner's head again.
Exactly. It demonstrates scalability. It shows a business can run and grow without being totally dependent on the owner's personal involvement. That massively de-risks it for a buyer.
Right. Engine 3.
Culture development. This recognizes that a positive, productive work environment, a strong team culture, that's a major asset.
Not just nice to have.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
A high-performing, engaged team that's aligned with the company goals, that signals stability. It makes integration much smoother for a new owner. It's incredibly valuable.
Okay.
And the last one. Finally, strategic innovation. This is about making sure the company stays competitive, stays relevant for the long haul, adapting to market shifts, developing new products, services, maybe new business models.
Looking ahead.
Yeah, it shows forward-thinking leadership. It tackles the risk of the business just becoming stagnant or irrelevant over time.
So these four engines,
Mm.
it's not just about boosting profits next quarter. It seems much more about building something sustainable, scalable,
Yeah.
ultimately just a much more valuable company.
That's exactly it. And the article makes an important distinction here. These engines improve both the quantity and the quality of your profit.
Quantity and quality. Why is quality so important to a buyer? Isn't profit just profit?
Not quite. I mean, the quantity, the absolute number, obviously matters.
Yeah.
But the quality, that's what really gets a savvy buyer interested.
Okay. What makes profit high quality?
High-quality profits are sustainable. They're predictable. Think about, say, recurring revenue from long-term contracts or subscriptions.
Right. Versus one-off projects.
Exactly. That recurring revenue is generally seen as much higher quality than erratic project-based income that could dry up tomorrow. And the four engines directly feed into this quality aspect.
Oh.
Well, strong processes, they lead to more consistent, predictable costs, a great culture, reduces expensive employee turnover, improves efficiency, strategic innovation, ensures you keep generating revenue in the future. All these things give buyers way more confidence in the long-term profitability and stability of the business.
Got it. Predictability equals quality equals confidence for the buyer. Okay, so we've measured our value, we've focused on accelerating through those four engines. That brings us to the final stage of the framework, EX, which the article says presents three potential outcomes: expand, exit, or unexpected. How does being always ready unlock these different paths?
Well, once you've done the work in the measure and accelerate phases, once you've built this well-understood, high-performing, resilient business, you've essentially created tremendous optionality for yourself.
Right, more choices.
Exactly. So expand becomes a much more realistic option. You've got a strong foundation. That makes it easier to go after growth, maybe through buying another company, launching new innovations, or just scaling up what you already do, but with more confidence.
Okay, expansion is one path.
Then there's exit. But now it's transformed. It's not a potential crisis response anymore. It's a strategic choice. You get the freedom to decide when you want to exit, how you want to exit, completely on your own terms, not because you're forced into it.
Selling from a position of strength.
Precisely. And maybe most importantly, there's unexpected. This readiness provides a crucial safety net. If, one of those Ds does happen or some other crisis hits, the prepared business is just far more resilient.
It can weather the storm better.
Much better. It can navigate those challenges with less disruption, less damage to its value. You've built a well-oiled machine that can keep running effectively even when things get uncertain.
So it really does all circle back to that idea of control and preparedness. The core message feels like this proactive approach. It's not really about selling in the future. It's about taking charge now.
Exactly right. That's the fundamental principle. Preparing your business as if a sale could happen tomorrow gives you more control today. It unlocks more opportunities. It provides vital protection against the things you can't predict. Ultimately, it's about building a robust, valuable company that serves your interests best, whatever the future might bring.
The article wraps up with a line that really hits home. The worst time to start preparing is when you have to. That's powerful. As we finish up this deep dive, what's the single biggest message you'd want listeners to take away?
I think the key takeaway is this: proactively getting your business ready for a potential sale. Even if selling is the furthest thing from your mind right now, it's not just about some future transaction. It's actually a strategic imperative. It's about building a stronger, more valuable, more resilient company today.
Right.
It brings peace of mind, it expands your options down the road, and it safeguards the value you've worked so incredibly hard to create. It just ensures you're the one in the driver's seat, whatever happens.
That's incredibly insightful. And on that note, here's something for you, the listener, to really think about. Considering the potential unexpected, those 4Ds, or maybe other challenges relevant to your own situation, what's maybe one specific area in your business where getting it a bit more ready could give you significantly more peace of mind, more options, starting right now?
It's a really worthwhile question to ask yourself.
Definitely something to ponder. And if you do want to explore this further, the article mentions those resources. The confidential valuation link, again, is measure.valuecreationengines.com. And there's also the Business Owner's Guide to Maximize Business Valuation. Worth checking out if you want to dig deeper yourself. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.